This is Margaret Jameson, Granny Maggie of Granny Magic, and I'm here today to talk about justice and judgment according to the tarot. So I did a live on this earlier, but this is the more formal learning, so I don't need to stress about time. So here we go. The first card that we come across is going to be Justice, number 11. And the key words for the Justice card are cause and effect, consequences, accountability, law, reason, ethics, morality, truth, honesty, clarity, structure, and fairness. It aligns with the energy of the astrological sign Libra. So for all those key words, you can tell it's very much about legal thinking. It's very logic-based. Look at the crown on the head. And when you see the sword, it is about consequences. And that's a double-edged sword. It can cut both ways. It's about fairness. And as you see by the scales, it's about balance. Sometimes this card shows justice having a blindfold because it's impartiality and fairness. So it's a really interesting card, because the energy around it actually is about restoring this divine balance through truth. Everyone is going to come out of this situation whole. That's what fairness is to justice. It's trying to bring the best out of the situation for everybody involved. So when this shows up in a reading, you know that's what's happening. Justice is going to move towards divine harmony. And in this case, fairness is whatever is required to restore each person to wholeness so that they can move forward in the best way possible. And it's looking at an end result. So it's a very logical card in some ways. And a lot of times when it appears in a reading, it does have something to do about a legal matter, a contract, an agreement between people. Very interesting. When this shows up in a relationship reading, it's a sign where the people are trying to work things out and mediate things in their heads according to fairness in each situation. And as we know, relationships have a lot of give and take and flow to them. And what we're really wanting is the best for each person in the various situations. So this shows up a lot in relationship readings. And it's trying to bring a sense of logic and a sense of fairness to what are sometimes emotional, volatile issues. So you may not always get what you want when this shows up in your reading, but you'll be made whole. And whatever happens will be the best for everybody involved in the situation. And you need to accept that and move forward. Now contrast that with number 20, the Judgment card. And the Judgment card has a different energy to it. And its key words are rebirth, revelation, clarity, self-evaluation, fairness, judgment, reckoning, and calling. And you'll see the number 20 that reduces to the number 2. So you'll see that it's connected to the High Priestess energy, where you're open to receiving this download of the universe's wisdom. And then you'll also see 1 + 1 is 2. So in numerology, it is directly related to the Justice card. However, the keywords have a different tone. Listen to the keywords for this card: rebirth, revelation, clarity, self-evaluation, fairness, judgment, reckoning, calling. This is a card of rebirth. This is a card of release. This is a card of karmic debts being erased, paid in full. The planet Judgment aligns with is Pluto, which is a planet aligned a lot with death, because 20 is a profound number. The 10s in tarot are closings of chapters. Number 20, in a sense, is the closing of a book or the ending of the story. not just a chapter. This card represents the ultimate release if you can accept the past and release it, taking the good, and then accept this call to awakening. It's calling you to let go of that karmic debt, to believe that it's paid in full, and then to answer this call to awakening, to your authentic self, to your self-will, your freedom, and then moving ahead and creating a whole new life story, a whole new book based on yourself set free from karmic debt. This is your highest self being called out to proceed the rest of your journey towards whatever your true spiritual calling is. Very profound card when it shows up in a reading. There is choice in this. Answer the call to awakening or not. There are people who get this card and are excited by it. Then I do another reading. They're right back where they were because that karmic debt, that pattern, the habitual pattern of their life, they couldn't let go of it. They couldn't change it. They weren't willing to step up and accept this call to awakening because that pull to the familiar was too strong. We all know people like that. So this card is partly a challenge. Once you know that karmic debt is paid off, you can shake that karma you brought into this life. You can't blame it for anything anymore. You're now self-actualized. It's now your calling to move forward in a way that aligns you with your highest self and your potential that the universe is calling you towards. So a very profound card to receive in a reading. And you can see that people are all equal in this. They're all the same color. They all are the same. You see this tidal wave coming, ready to wash all that karmic past away and set them free. And they are being called to this divine awakening, divine relationship that will lift them to their highest self, and they can play that out for the rest of their life in how they write their own story. And someone said, how do you write your own story? And it's challenging to let go of those shadows and those habits and to really look at what we're called to, what gifts has the universe given us, how can we use them to help ourselves and everybody around us become more in harmony with what the universe really wishes for all of us. It's a high calling card, but it's also a very freeing card. And remember, these cards apply to situations. So if you get this card in a career or a job reading, it's going to be very different than if it's in a relationship reading or a reading about where you are on your spiritual path. Because these energies play out in real time, in real situations. They're not just abstract. That energy isn't just floating out there. It comes into our lives and we interact with it through our job, through our relationships with other people, through our interior thoughts, how we live our lives when nobody's looking. There's so many ways this energy makes itself manifest. And I think this is helpful to compare these two cards because they come up a lot. The Justice comes up a lot more than Judgment because Judgment really is this very profound card to receive. And depending on the area in which you're reading, it may show up in career. That doesn't mean it's going to necessarily spill over into your relationship. Okay? Always look at the question you've asked and the context of the reading. That's the key with tarot, how that energy is playing out in real time, in a real situation and circumstance, and how that's going to transform you as you move forward. How are you going to work with that energy? And sometimes you awaken in one area, and then you awaken in the others. You know, once you open a window, that fresh air starts to blow through. So many blessings. I will be back with you next week.